This goes into the Stalked series. This is film number 3. Here's what I want to get into. When Housing Authority was hauling me around, and I was in housing for a while. It was like under a witness protection because I was a certified informant. In Quail Valley, under Riverside, sheriffs, Conwell 3716 on the ID, but there was Medina, Denham, Frank, I knew Beeman, Palella. He was a short little cop who got me the housing, which was really good. I needed to get out of the valley. Working as a snitch there, I lived in a field, homeless, across the street from the meth heads. My ex was a meth head with my kid at the time. I thought was my kid, Molly, but I come to believe fully that that's my brother's kid, and it was just a trick, sleight of hand. But that happens a lot. No problem for me. I'm not bothered by the victimization from my brother. That doesn't bother me at all. I've had a good life, experienced a lot, pretty smart about things. It's a good life. But what I want to point out is I was in Moreno Valley under housing. This is the first time I noticed the black car. The white car with the black guy with the security outfit. I call him the handler, the white limo. The reason I call it the limo is because it's so tinted up. It has limo tinting. Front windshield is big. It's an ugly looking car in my opinion. It's got to be old because it's been following me around a long time. But in Moreno Valley is the first time I seen this car. This car was parked in our driveway. The manager there, his name was Slater. He was a big black guy. He sold meth. He was the manager. He sold cigarettes to the young people who came through there. The owner of those apartment complexes, he owned a lot of complexes. I believe his name was Anthony too, Tony. He's an Italian guy. And he knew that Slater did what he did, but he liked Slater running a show because Slater was tough. He's military, hardcore drug addict, good dealer, managed money good enforcer. When you have an apartment complex in a criminal, in Southern California, I've seen I don't know how many managers who are meth users and meth dealers. I was in 3 housing different complexes. One of the complexes, Slater, the first one, Moreno Valley, he was the dealer. When I was in Hemet, the manager there, well, he was a speed user, so he just let everything go because the dealer lived in an apartment there. And then when I was in Hemet, they had this guy, John Porter. He was the porter, John, and he was the porter. He reported to housing. He was a 1099 employee. But he lived there, and he was a meth head and a heroin addict like you wouldn't believe. He walked around this cane and acted all decrepit, but what he would do is he would just basically leech drugs off of all the people who lived in that complex. This is the Desert, Rose, and Ripley, and he just leeched drugs off of everybody to keep his mouth quiet. I'm telling you, managers get in a good position. You're a manager, you usually get cheap rent or free rent, you get free drugs. Heck, I can't blame them. I'm the tenant who has to pay too much and is always being driven into the streets from meth managers. So at this point in my life, all the power to them, honestly. It's kind of the way I feel. If the owner of the property is good with it, the neighbors are good with it, the tenants can't live with it because these guys come into your apartment in the middle of the night when you're trying to sleep because they're wired up on meth, and they're the managers and they have the keys. But, bygones are bygones. I digress. But that's the first time I seen that white limo. Now, I seen the black guy talking to the manager when I come out of my apartment one day to go get me some booze. I didn't really notice it, didn't think much about it, but that's the first time I seen his face. Now, so from Moreno Valley, from there I moved out of Moreno Valley. Now, I ended up going into this place in downtown in Midtown Riverside by Tyler. You go in there for a night. It's a 24-hour hang there, waiting to get a motel for I can then find me a new place to live through housing. Housing's really good people. Susie Hernandez was my worker, outstanding. Tanya, outstanding. Very outstanding workers. They got to deal with people like me and, drug addicts, and they got to do a good job, and everything's expected of them, and they got to put up with garbage, and they get limited control. Housing authority people are outstanding. But anyway, so from there, the white car picked me up when I came out of the rehab place. It was just a 24-hour. They check you out like a mental ill check-in for 24 hours. Okay, so I was there for 24 hours. Now from there, I walked to housing. That was about 5 miles away, 4 miles away, whatever it was. Now, that white car was on me when I came out of that little institute. Now, when I went into housing, the white car followed me there. Now, when I left housing, I seen the white car follow me out. Now, the key element here is this guy in the black car and the white car, black guy, he is following housing authority. You can tell they're housing authority because they got the digits written on their bumper on the back of the car. So this guy knows he's stalking me, following housing authority. That's got to be a federal crime of some type. It's federal people. But anyway, so from there, then I'm in Hemet. Now in Hemet, that white car is hanging out in front of my house all the time. I see it there. Doesn't mean a lot. It's tinted up. I figure they're just a partier in there doing speed with his girlfriend. Because you see that. That's the way these cars are all over the place. Like I said, I was an informant for 10 years. I got to see the tricks of the trade. You know, Mether survives. Mether gets away. Just the way it goes. But anyway, so now when I'd go out on him and I'd go out on my bike and I'd ride around on my bike. And he'd always pop up. He'd pop up on this street. He'd pop up in that driveway. He'd pop up when I'd go to a place to eat. And then the next time I came to the place to eat, the people would blow me off like I was some kind of bad person. So this is where the guy creeps in there, meets whoever I meet, slanders me, and then drives off. The whole goal of my brother is to keep me from having any social contact, from keeping anybody from listening to me or believing me. Reason is he's covering up his tracks. That's what the whole problem is. He's got a hitman on me. He's ripped off my money, probably some of my Atomic God material, more than likely, and I'll cover that. And so he's got to cover his tracks by nullifying everybody I talk to. Now this is where the team works. You got the black guy in the white car. You got the white guy who drives around in the white truck with the emblem on the door. If he ain't a county worker, that's fraud of some type, okay? All right, honestly, he impersonating. But maybe he is a cop or a private investigator. But, you know, they're trying to kill me, so it's a dirty cop if they're a cop. I don't know, I'm on the outside of this thing, but I'm calling the ball and saying they're not cops. They're just thugs hired by my brother, friends of my brother, trying to destroy me. Okay, so now when I'm in Hemet, and I'm moving out of Hemet, no, before that, I'm still in Hemet. This lady, her daughter, her son got killed in this river bottom. I go over there to talk to her because I like to, you know, chase down bad guys sometimes, you know what I mean? I'm just good at reading people, analyzing situations. I don't have an education. I don't have really nothing to do. You call me retired. I got money off the truck driving account that my brother frauded. And so I'm over there talking to her. Now, on my way over there, I get hit by a truck on my bike. Totals my bike. Okay, so that's the end of my bike. So I'm on foot now. But I walk over there and talk to the lady anyways. And while I'm talking to her, well, sure enough, that white car pulls up and checks me out. Okay, now, I'm still not, I see the car, but I see the same car. It doesn't really click. I don't know what's going on. I didn't figure out what was going on until I came to this place, and this is about 6 years later. So they've been following me since then. Now, when I left Hemet finally, and I went to Ripley, from Hemet I was going to Ripley. Now I'm going to move there. It's a new place. Housing Authority is moving me because I don't want to be in Hemet. They're really cool, really nice people. Okay, so this last time they're going to move me. So sure enough, I hop into Susie Hernandez's car. She's got a worker with her. Now when Susie's ready to pull away from the curb, that white car flies right out, and she has to lock her, hits her brakes, and jolt, and kind of shocked, and the white car takes off. This is his way. He flies at you, intimidates you, like he's scaring you, like he's there to stalk you and put you down or put you in your place, keep an eye on you and pounce on you and irritate you and frustrate you. He acts like a cop that's going to bust you, but cops aren't that stupid. I've seen undercover cops work. They stealth it back. They watch from a distance. They're not in your face like that. That blows their cover. So you see, this guy ain't a cop. The black guy ain't a cop. He wouldn't be in my face like that. Okay, so anyways, so he almost hits her, drives her, she has to hit her brake. We go to Ripley. Now we're in Ripley. This is like, what, an hour and a half away, 200 miles, 150 miles away from Hemet. We pull up, she pulls up in front of the apartment. Sure enough, here comes that white car. We get out of the car, and the car flies right by her, and she kind of steps back. Now, she may remember these things, or she may not. But I do, because I pay attention to everything that goes on around me. I'm highly suspicious of people, especially because growing up with my brother, trying to kill me off so many times. Personally, a couple times, but he failed. Now, with this, then, is that those were the 2 times I know of that a housing authority agent was followed by this black guy and this white car that's tinted up. Now, I'm assuming it's the same driver because it's the way he drives. He flips the steering wheel quick. He pulls up in front of you real fast. For instance, when I was in Ripley, I went into town to buy me some weed off of this pot shop. It's a tobacco shop, but they sell weed legally. Now, when I'm in a parking lot buying off this lady, she's a tall, blonde-haired lady. More than likely, that black guy or that team talked to that lady. She works at a tobacco shop closest to... that would be the closest one to Del Taco. It's on the main strip. Don't know her name, but her husband owns a dispensary out here in Desert Hot Springs, and they bring weed down there and they sell it down there. It's all good. We need medicine. So I buy a bag off her, and he flies up next to us, and she kind of gets shocked, and I kind of get disturbed, and he's tinted up like he's going to make a bust. I don't know what it is. I notice the car again. Doesn't really bother me. I'm on my way home. Okay, I go home. There's the car sitting in the parking lot right in front of my house. Okay, I shouldn't be there. Still don't bother me. I didn't figure it out, and I'm not really worried about people. That's the way I am. Grew up in a tough world, so unless someone's really coming after me, I take note and I move on. You know, I'm not at war with anybody. So anyways, now so he popped up there. Now, it continues. Continue with this black guy. Now, when I was out of Ripley and I went to... From there, Ripley, I went homeless. Okay, and this was about, years ago. It could be found on record. This report is for the police. It could be found on record when I lived in Ripley. Okay, now, when I went homeless and I went into Edinburgh by Blythe, there the team was. Follow me around again. There was that white guy in the white truck with the emblem and the antenna. There was the Jeep with the other white guy and white girl, and they were younger, and there's the black limo. They followed me into... Quartzsite. I buy a bike. I ride back to Blythe. I'm hanging in that area, Edinburgh. I start to try to go to Parker. Didn't make it. It was too far. They followed me there. I turn around. I come back. I have to rest underneath the bridge. There's that white couple in that white truck looking at me underneath the bridge. Ooh, look at him. They're kind of weird. They're like fucking with me. Somewhere they got it in their mind that I'm some kind of scum or evil person or something. It's the way my brother does it. He's the worst possible person. Now, my brother raised me. There's a lot of things. My brother sent me to a child molester twice when I was young. He had me raped 2 or 3 times when I was like just a wee little kid. I remember being underneath a tree and seeing my brother in the yard over there, and he'd bring this molester to me. Then he'd bring me to the molester's house. Now, that fucked up my head really bad. Now, my head was already messed up. My mom at that time noticed that we were on Jones Street, and she seen I changed, and she moved us out of there. She must have knew what happened to me. No one ever helped me. I spent my life alone. You get sexually messed with. It screws up your behavior. So when I'm in school later, I don't know what, 6th grade or something, my behavior's all messed up. Someone pushes me off this bar, and I flip over, and I hit my head on the cement, cracks my head open, and it swells up. I walk home, which is about 4 or 5 miles home. I get there, my mom feels my head is swollen up, and she keeps me out of school for a while. The swelling went away, but I was brain damaged. Now I couldn't hardly lift up my head, and I couldn't hardly lift up my arms, and I couldn't talk very good. So I was brain damaged, so sexually molested and brain damaged. Now this is all the progression of the abuse that my mom let my brother put on me. Like I say, I'm not worried about it and I'm not disturbed. Life is life and people's had way worse. But this is where my brother got the advantage of me. So what I'm trying to say is there's been a progressive movement of abuse. This is trying to be hidden from people by my brother, utilizing the handler, the black guy, and the white guy in the white truck with the emblem and the antenna. I don't know who these people are, but the cops do, and here's the reason why. When I would be in the park down here in Yucca, and I'd be sitting there, those people would be following me, and those people would be telling the people at the park to look at me and watch me. And then the cops would be pulled in at different times to take a look at me. See, these guys are all over with the cops all over around them. Police can find out who they are through Crime Watch up here. It's called Citizens on Patrol. They could backtrack and find out who these people are. So this is why I'm putting the information up. They've almost killed me 5, 6, a whole bunch of times. If they do kill me, at least this information is sitting here and someone like an FBI agent or a homicide investigator can get a hold of this stuff and backtrack it down. The black guy's the handler. My brother's paying for it one way or another, whether it be through a life insurance policy, which is more than likely. If I die, everybody cashes in because these guys are highly motivated. And there's times when I get out there homeless in the field, this black guy will bring heroin addicts at me to try to kill me. So it's a whole bunch of stuff. The black guy bends in a whole bunch more than that. He goes all the way back. He goes all the way back to when I was up in living in Big Pine. This was about 25 years ago. I was living in Big Pine with my girlfriend Teresa. Apparently, my girlfriend Teresa was in contact with my brother Bill, because wherever me and Teresa went, my brother Bill would pop up, and I made an effort to lose him. So I believe that she knew him, and that kid is the kid that I thought was mine, belongs to him. Too bad the kid don't know. The kid didn't get her real father. The kid didn't get no time with me because Teresa wouldn't let me have time with the kid. I just had to work all the time and live in hardship. It was just a game to take everything away from me. This is an extension of my brother's behavior. But there is stalking on me, and there's multi-attempts. This is the beginning of the coverage of the black man. In the white limo, I call the handler.